Okay, so now that we've gone through our slide presentation, let's go ahead and work through some examples. So for this first example, let's cross an Angus bull with a white shorthorn cow. So our genotype for our Angus bull is big E, two little b's, two little d's, two little r's, big G, and big S. So this is our Angus, and then we're crossing it with a white shorthorn. So the genotype for a white shorthorn is little e, two little b's, two little d's, two big r's, big G, and then S. So similarly to our horses, you typically will not have to worry about every single allele at the 8 major loci whenever we're doing these problems. So for this one, the main 2 loci that we need to look at are our extension locus and our Roning locus, because that's where these two differ. So whenever we cross these, their offspring will have one big E from the Angus and then one little e from the white shorthorn, and then they'll have one little r from the Angus and one big R from the shorthorn. So their final genotype will be big E, big R, little r. And whenever I'm doing these, I always like to write the more dominant allele in front of the more recessive one. So like we talked about in our slides earlier, we have one big E, so that's going to give us the black base color, and then big R, little r gives us a roan. So our final answer for this one will be black roan. So this is our F1. So let's cross an F1 bull with an F1 cow. So we'll cross big E, big R, little r with big E, big R, little r. So we're going to work these similarly to how we did our horse problem. So you can either do a Punnett square in your head to get the proportions or actually write it out. So for this one, I'll go ahead and write it out. So at the extension locus, they are both heterozygotes, big E, little e. So we'll get big E, big E, little e, big E, little e, and then little e. So our proportions for this will be a quarter big E, a half big E, little e, and a quarter little e. So since both of these have at least one big E, they'll make the animal black. So we can just combine these to 3/4 big E dash, and this dash just means it can either be a big E or a little e. So let's start working through our problem. So we'll get 3/4 that are big E dash, and then 1/4 that are little e. So now we'll go ahead and do our Punnett square for our r's. So they're both heterozygotes. So we have big R, big R, little r, big R, little r, and then 2 little r's. So we'll get a quarter that are big R, a half that are heterozygote, and then a quarter that are little r. So we can't combine any of these, so all of these different alleles will give us a different coloration. So we'll go ahead and start branching off. So we have a quarter that are big R, a half that are heterozygotes, and then a quarter that are little r, and the same thing down here. And then a quarter little r. So we'll multiply proportions together like we did for our horses. So we have 3/4 times 1/4. So we'll get 3/16. So 3/16 will have a big E and 2 big R's. So 2 big R's will make the animal white, and a big E causes that black base color, but for a big R, that gives them the black skin pigmentation. So for this one, we'll have 3/16 that are white, with black skin pigmentation. Okay, so next one we'll have 3/4 times a half. So that gives us 3/8. So we have a big E, so black base color, and then big R, little r, giving us roan. So we can either put blue roan or black roan. It means the exact same thing. So I'll just put black roan. And then for this one, we have 3/4 times a quarter, so we'll get 3/16 again. So we have a big E, making it black, and then 2 little r's, so it's just going to say its base color, so 3/16 black. And then this one, we'll go ahead and move on to our little e's. So we have a quarter times a quarter, so that's 1/16. So we have 1/16 that are little e with 2 big r's, so the big r's are making it white. And since it has the 2 little e's, it's going to have that light skin pigmentation. So they will be white with a light skin pigmentation. We'll move on to our next one. So we have a quarter times a half, so 1/8. So little e, making them red, and then big R, little r, so roan, so 1/8 are going to be red roan. And our last one, we have a quarter times a quarter, so 1/16. So little e, making them red, and then little r, so they're just going to be their base color, so 1/16 red. So this would be the final answer for our F1 cross.